So just on my way to meet Matt, we were going to shoot a little video today, and on my way I'm just coming down I-10, and I've told many of you multiple times that when you're driving down I-10, if you start looking out to the middle of the desert, you're going to see people living in the middle of the desert right off of I-10. So if you go out there, there's I-10 right out there. Right over here, look at this. This is really becoming the norm now here in my area, where you just drive down I-10 and you see people in old RVs, old dilapidated cars, just pulled over in the middle of a parcel of land living. And I don't think people really believe how bad it's getting and what's really happening. But you can look even way out there. There's a car and a camper out there. Just look at this. This is just one little area right here. You got shopping carts over there. Down over there I see more campers way out in the yonder. But this is just one small little area here. And as I'm on my way to meet Matt, just wanted to take 5 minutes, pull over and show this to you. This is becoming the norm. People with cars, people with old RVs, just parking somewhere in the desert. Maybe they have jobs, they go to work, and they come back to their camper, and it's where they live. It's not getting better, ladies and gentlemen. It is not getting better. And there are so many campers in old dilapidated RVs now parked out in remote areas of the desert, you wouldn't believe it. But most people just drive by. They don't pay attention. They don't look. And so they don't see the problem. They don't see what's happening in their own areas with what's happening. This is going to continue to be a problem that is going to increase over time as more and more people are going to be forced into this new standard of living, sleeping in your car or your dilapidated camper or RV somewhere in the middle of the desert. So I just want to take a few minutes, point that out, show that to you, and there you have it. Where is everybody?
It looks pretty slow.
Look at this.
For a Sunday afternoon when everybody's out shopping.
Look at this. Wow. Wow. So if you need Christmas decorations, they are loaded. You know, Matt, what's weird is
tree lights, plenty of trees.
What's weird is it wasn't that long ago when I shot a video here, which I never shop at Walmart, but when I shot a video here and there was no supplies. Now it's the complete opposite.
Wasn't it? They were saying they were going to have a supply glut, right? So we're going to, have things starting to hit the shelves. I don't know, it's like deflation. What is it?
Let's check it out. Look at this. 1,000 flip-flops. But yeah, tons of Christmas supplies everywhere. And even a lot of stuff stored up outside. We'll check that out when I leave. But look at all this Christmas decorations, supplies. So now the question is, we hear now that the shipping rates are crashing, that stores like Walmart, Target, Kohl's, etc., Amazon canceling massive amounts of orders.
Yeah, it's insane.
So what does this mean? What is this like to me?
Doesn't it mean consumer demand is falling?
Yes, right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. What does this mean for Christmas?
Well,
Christmas
they
sales.
can't afford it.
Right.
Yeah,
and
broke Christmas.
And so what happens to the bottom line of stores like this when the consumer isn't spending? 25% of people aren't going to celebrate Thanksgiving. How many people just aren't going to be able to spend for a meal for Christmas, let alone Christmas gifts? What are they going to do with all this inventory? Big discounts.
Didn't we just discuss on the show a couple weeks ago when I was joining you about how Walmart had cut their holiday staff? They were going to hire a lot less people this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it doesn't surprise me from what I'm seeing now.
And they were
what, 3 weeks out of Thanksgiving, 6 weeks out of Christmas.
Canceling billions these big stores, these big retailers canceling billions of dollars of orders because they have nowhere to put the inventory. Their warehouses are stacked to the hilt. The stores are stacked to the hilt. I mean, you can see boxes all the way up to the ceiling up over there. So if they can't move this stuff, obviously you know that the old blue light special must be coming back. So Matt was just saying, as we're walking through the hardware department, there is no shortage of anything now.
Shelves are stacked.
Stacked. They can't give the stuff away now. It's going to take big sales in order to move the inventory. And this is just one Walmart. Think about how many stores they have, and it's going to be the same problem at all the stores. So I just drove by a Home Depot, Matt. There must have been 100 barbecue grills sitting outside. They can't sell barbecue grills. They couldn't sell them this summer. What are they going to do with all these barbecue grills at Home Depot and Lowe's now?
And those are what, $50, $100, $200?
400, 500, depending on what you want. But they're stacked outside, sitting on top of one another. But then, you know, you look at the price of propane now. You know, people are just having to cut out even, you know, barbecuing now because it costs, you know, $30 to fill up a tank, 65 or, you know, $70 to go buy a tank of propane. The exchange is like $30 now. So people are just cutting out these things that are now becoming luxuries. Barbecuing now is a luxury.
Well, don't forget, prices are double or more.
Yeah. And energy prices, the propane prices have doubled. So it's now a luxury if you want to have a barbecue. So you can never go wrong, even with something like this. They've got some water filtration, some iron skillets. Matt, this stuff's important right now. If you can get the like the Coleman propane tanks, the little propane cans, good time to...
You need this stuff because the little propane cans are very efficient. They're very easy to
Here they are, right here. Here they are. You want to pick one up? Just pull one.
Yeah. They come two to a pack like this, and these things will last a while, you know. And you don't need to have a gas line, obviously, to use these. So it's great to have kind of an off-the-grid situation if you need to get, you know, some heat source.
You got your skillets over here, your Coleman stoves over here. I'm not a big Walmart guy, as you know, but if you don't have any other options, because I know a lot of people write me and say, hey, I don't have an option. It's the only place I have in my area. Well, come down to a Walmart and start grabbing this stuff. It's still affordable. It's on the shelves. You can get it. When things get bad, this stuff's going to disappear, and it will disappear overnight.
Yeah, that's true. And it's stocked right now.
I mean, look at this. I mean, you can get a cheap axe. I mean, survival blanket. I mean, it's probably not the best stuff, but having something is better than nothing. And we were just talking to the sales lady over here, and she said, you cannot believe how much stuff is still in storage down at the docks that they can't even get to. Matt.
Yeah, sure. They're still trying to get stuff on the shelves, but where are they going to put it? I mean,
for sure.
Here are some of those, you know, backpacks, inexpensive backpacks you get for
the video you did last week. Yeah. Get a cheap backpack and load it up. Keep it in the car for emergency. That's a great point. You can go to the Walmart website and you can buy emergency food. You can buy the Augustin Farm products like the powdered eggs, which I've done, you've done, and you've actually ordered more online from Walmart than I have. What do you want to?
Yeah, you know, and I actually just thinking about today, I went on and looked at some of the current pricing on some of this number 10 cans. Augustin Farms is a good source of long-term storage food if that's something that's important to you. You know, I bought some several years ago. So, for example, I wanted to share with you guys, you know, I went on and checked today's prices, best price I could find on certain items that I had purchased years ago, and I went and looked up what I paid for this. A 28-pound pail of white rice back in 2018-19, I paid $27. Right now it's $70, and that's for a 24-pound pail. So you lose 4 pounds of rice, and you're going to pay what, three times the price.
Wow.
A pail of rolled oats, just regular oats, 10-pound pail. I paid $27.45 a few years ago. Now it's I paid $14.26. Now it's $60. We're talking 300–400% increase on some of this stuff. Just basic staple items you wouldn't even think about.
And nothing bad has happened yet. If a grid went down, the lights went out, if this supply chain crisis with food got that bad, this stuff is gone within hours, not days, within hours. And the prices, if you think that they've gone up, you know, if they've gone up 300, 400, 500%, if you think that's a lot, wait till they start going up 3,000, 4,000, 5,000%.
chicken TVP, which is textured vegetable protein. It's a meat substitute. I paid $10.94 for a number 10 can a few years ago. It's now $40 a can for that same can. So that's 400% increase in 3 years, if you can get it. And these are the cheapest prices I found. Some of the prices are way higher than this.
And where can they find this stuff?
Well, I just went on Walmart.com under Augustin Farms to do a direct price comparison. You know, see where we're at.
So a little advice today is get a little bit of this stuff. Get some canned food, get some dry food, get some emergency food, get what your budget will allow you to get, but you got to get something. If you have nothing, it is going to guarantee that you lose. So just walking down the toy aisle here, I look at all this and you know that 99% of this stuff is coming from China. China is getting so wealthy and so powerful, and you look at this and you just go, wow. If China decided to cut ties or trading with unfriendly countries it deems unfriendly, maybe the United States, how bad would this get? These stores would not have anything on the shelves. It's absolutely incredible when you see the magnitude of product coming from Asia that has flooded these stores for years. And what would happen if a country like China cut ties with unfriendly countries it deemed unfriendly? And at some point, or some future point, I could see China cutting off America, saying, we consider you unfriendly.
It's probably in the works now. I mean, they want to take over, so they want to have the world reserve currency. But look, this stuff we're seeing aisles of. This stuff is all from China, right? I don't think we make any of this stuff.
No, we don't make any of this.
So,
wow, it's incredible, just incredible. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. Wow. Wow.
I was going to ask you, $298.
How big are these?
For a 58 big screen TV.
Wow.
4K. That's a 4K.
Here we have more. $298.
That's unbelievable.
These are 50s right here.
But these used to be thousands of dollars for these things. And now they weigh, you know, they don't weigh.
Yeah, they're super thin, super light. And we're going to look back and go, $298 was too much.
There'll be a 2-for-1 special.
Yeah, they're going to have to get rid of these things at some point. And you can look, no, look, they're just piled up. I mean, just piled up. Wow. $498. Look at all the TVs. Samsung. These are 65-inch Samsungs for $498. Here's a 65. These are $648. Wow. $278 for $55. Wow. These, what is that?
70-inch.
Wow.
$453.
Clearance. Oh my gosh. So the more inventory that piles up, the worse the economy gets. There's no doubt you're going to see huge discounts. I think, Matt, we're going to see a time in this economy where we're going to see inflation and deflation at the same time. We're going to see items like electronics, housing, automobiles, things like that, commercial real estate going down, where we're going to see gas prices, energy prices, food, things like that going up.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of stuff would probably constitute the deflationary wave that everybody says you're going to see coming because there's too much inventory, not enough buyers. So, you know, hey, it wouldn't surprise me.
Matt, I wanted to point something out really quick before I forget. I was at a dollar store today, and I asked the woman as we were checking out, what is the percentage of people that are using government subsidy to pay for their food here at the dollar store? She said at least 50%. She goes, it's over 50%, but minimal. It's in the 50s, so probably even higher. So if people did not have government subsidy right now at the dollar store, the one I went to in Palm Desert earlier today, people wouldn't be eating.
Well, that's an amazing statistic. That's a lot of people.
Winco,
you know?
2 weeks ago, 75%. The cashier told me 75. Cashier today says over 50%. That people are relying now on government subsidy to come in here and buy food.
It doesn't surprise me.
And I bet you the store we're in right now, I guarantee you the store we're in right now, that number is well over 50%, that people are using some sort of government subsidy, WIC, EBT, in order to pay for their food. And without that help, people, they would be in huge trouble. So this government now is printing so much money. You've got 44 million people on food stamps in America. That's a long food line. That's a long food line. And without the government paying to keep this whole thing afloat, this thing looked really bad.
Look, the food prices continue to go up, right? Fuels come back a little bit, but food keeps going up. It's the one thing that's not backing off, and I don't see any change in the near future at all.
No. Boxes of them. Boxes of them. Just tons of grills stacked to the ceiling. I wanted to just share a couple quick articles with Matt before we take off. And the first one coming from the Hedge. West urges Russia to reverse grain deal suspension. Stop weaponizing food, the West says to Russia. And I say to that, America needs to stop weaponizing the dollar. So apparently Russia is not letting ships into the Ukrainian ports, and they're not letting ships exit Ukrainian ports. And Ukraine being one of the, if not the largest grain producer in the world, cannot ship product. And that means that countries, especially third world countries that rely on that grain, are not going to eat. So do we stop weaponizing the dollar, and maybe Russia will stop weaponizing food?
You know what they say, you've heard the saying, he who owns the gold makes the rules. I'm going to add something to that. He who owns the gold and controls the flow of food supply makes the rules. So the U.S. obviously sees this.
Right, right. And yet we continue to keep our nose over there, sending tens of billions of dollars in weapons and money and supplies. And I don't get political here, there's no reason to, but I just do not believe a country that is bankrupt should be supporting anybody than itself. I mean, we're bankrupt. Where's this money coming from? You know where it's coming from. It's coming from us. We're printing money, we're borrowing money, we're going deeper into debt. And look, I wish the war would end tomorrow. I wish it could be completely avoided, but it's not going to. So why should we allow it to bankrupt us even more than it already is?
Well, look, if we weren't $30 trillion in debt of our own, maybe there'd be an argument to say, well, we have an obligation, but we can't even support our own population.
Right.
The homeless is growing, and we don't take care of our own people. So
I want to share this article with you. I was completely just blown away by this. And being from Chicago, this really hits home because this is going to happen throughout America. Why Illinois is in trouble, this is on the Hedge, why Illinois is in trouble, 132,188 public employees with $100,000 plus paychecks cost taxpayers in Illinois $17 billion. This, Matt, is completely unsustainable. It's not just Illinois, it's happening all over the country. And this is why I see a massive pension crisis and I see a pension collapse happening at some point in America. Would you elaborate?
Yeah, this is happening in California too. They're underfunded. And I think we talked about this before. When the markets, if the markets, adjust down or correct, further down, that's going to further put pressure on these pensions. There's just too many people that are sucking off large pension incomes. We could debate that all day long, but some of those incomes are way too high.
This article, some of the things it exposes here happening in Illinois, probably happening in your state, it's happening right here. Barbers are making $104,000 at these state correction facilities. A barber. I mean, making $104,000 a year. Janitors at the Chicago Transit Authority are cleaning up at $143,634,000. Bus drivers in Chicago picked up $242,812 per year. And suburban community college presidents are making up to $418,677 per year. 132,000 public employees and retirees across Illinois are making more than $100,000 a year. 18 school superintendents received $300,000+ in retirement pensions. Laura Murray from Homewood Flossmoor, one of the high schools I went to 4 high schools. This is one of them. From Homewood Flossmoor, she's getting paid right now with her pension $344,450. That is incredible to think how the taxpayers are being literally looted and robbed, Matt.
Well, no, but it's unsustainable.
Completely.
What you're going to see is you're going to start seeing failures of these pensions, and these people aren't going to get this money that they think they're going to get the rest of their life.
No way. The top 10 police officers and police chiefs in Chicago made between $326,000 to $480,000. So when Illinoisans are paying this much money into these pensions and paying this into currently paying salaries, this is salaries, $326,000 to $480,000. Why would there even be crime in Illinois or Chicago when you're paying police chiefs and police officers up to almost $500,000 a year?
Maybe tie performance into how much of a pension you get.
Why are we seeing so much crime in a place like Chicago? It's incredible to think with the amount of money that they're paying. But the real crime is what's happening with these pensions and what we're paying these superintendents, police officers, police chiefs, janitors, bus drivers. This is, like Matt said, completely unsustainable. It's almost infuriating. The hardworking American man and woman just trying to pay their bills, pay their taxes, put food on the table for their kids, and people are laughing all the way to the bank with these pensions. It's really, really sad with so many people struggling right now, and yet people are laughing. And inflation can only start declining if the recession gets worse. The recession, the depression must get worse in order for inflation to improve. So to me, that means we're going to have to see higher rates and rates going up for a longer period of time.
I think we both concur with that these rate hikes are not going to stop. Markets have been rallying big time the last week or so, I think, on this whole continued renewed optimism that the Fed's going to change course. But I think we're kind of the same.
And for a while, you thought they would.
Yeah. Oh no, I was in the camp. I thought they would have pivoted. But
have you changed?
Yeah, I think that seeing the inflation continue, that there was no peak, there was no transitory inflation. It's continuing to rise. And see what we just saw with the cost of goods, the research I've been doing, how food costs have exploded, multiples higher. They have to keep raising.
And now October, we've seen fuel prices go ballistic in October, which is going to add to the CPI. In November when we get the October numbers. So that'll be very interesting. So I don't see how CPI comes down when we get the numbers in November for October. I only see it going up.
Put it this way, if they do change course, those numbers are going to go parabolic. Right. So,
and I'll finish with this last one. Wall Street Journal Fed insider Nick Tamiris said that the Fed could hold on to higher interest rates for longer, suggests that the Fed will hang on to higher rates for longer. I agree. And I know that there's a lot of people out there saying the opposite, hoping the opposite. It's amazing how many of these giant CEOs and CFOs out there now begging, demanding that the Fed reverse course, whereas before, when the Fed was lowering rates, they were all on board, knowing that this was going to create massive amounts of inflation, all the cheap money, so they could buy back stock, borrow money for next to nothing. That was fine. They knew what the ramifications would be, and here we are. And now they're begging the Fed to reverse course. And by reversing course, Matt, wouldn't that just cause more inflation if we lower rates and start printing money all over again and expanding the balance sheet? Isn't that going to devalue the dollar and cause even more inflation than we have now?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So that hurts the consumers more on the inflation side. As the rates go up, the consumer gets hit with higher borrowing costs, higher service charges on credit cards. So it's a double-edged sword.
Let me ask you this.
It's a lose-lose.
You know, everybody out there saying that the Fed's going to pivot. My question is to you, what if the Fed doesn't pivot? What if this is the plan all along now? It is to crash everything, purposely, strategically crash everything, raise rates a lot, and not pivot. What if the Fed doesn't pivot, and what if this is the plan to crash it all purposely?
Time will tell.
What happens?
Time will tell.
It's going to be very bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be bad either way.
Yeah, either way.
It's bad. If you think it through, take it off of each end of each spectrum. It's not good. There's no good conclusion, I don't think. Unfortunately, for the consumer, for whatever the Fed does. Now the markets, you know, who does the benefit if the Fed, kind of pulls back? That benefits the markets, I think.
Yeah, and I think it would short term.
Yeah, and it'll hurt metals.
Yes, it will hurt metals. It will probably benefit the dollar, benefit the markets short term. But eventually, you are going to bring in hyperinflation. And when your stocks are backed by dollars that become worthless, well, then where's it all go? I mean, at that point, you better be holding ounces.
If they continue to raise rates, like you were saying, I thought that was what you were posing, is that they keep raising rates. I think that continues to hurt metals, hurts the markets.
Yes.
If they back off of raising rates, you're going to see metals and the markets probably rise in tandem.
Right.
For different reasons, obviously.
Well, I mean, if they bring rates down, metals will go up.
True.
Bring rates up, metals are probably going to come down.
Well, people perceive that the holding cost of metals when rates are rising, it doesn't make sense. Depends on what you hold in them.
Until they cause hyperinflation, then people are going to be running to anything real at that point.
Okay, so here we go.
Right.
The end game is still going to be the same.
Holding real assets, getting rid of debt, being able to access your assets quickly, because if you're dependent on a screen, on using a computer, if all of your money is sitting on a computer screen, if your assets are on a screen, then you don't really have assets. You have promises, you own debt, and the problem is, if they implode this whole thing, that screen can go to zero very quickly. So you're going to wake up one morning and go, what happened? Whereas if you're holding real things and you're holding very little debt, and you have gold, you have silver, you have food, you have water, you're going to be okay. At least you're not going to go into shock and panic mode, whereas the person that has nothing, they're not going to know what to do. You'll be able to buy time. You're going to be able to survive. And more than likely, you're going to be able to take advantage of huge discounts. And this is another example today. Buying TVs for $278, where do you think this goes a year from now? Do you think those TVs are going to be going up in value or down? I think we're going to see a huge amount of deflation here in America.
You see what's going on in the metal space with the premiums on the gold and silver?
We talked about it the other day. I mean, you're talking almost $40 for a silver eagle right now. And people go, oh my gosh, the premiums. You have to understand there is a difference between physical precious metals and paper.
Well, spots at 1950 and major coin, retailers are buying silver eagles for $10, $11, $12 over.
Yep.
So what's the true value of the metal?
Right.
Is it $31 or is it $19.50? I would argue it's $31.
I think within the next year or two, we're going to find out what it really is, because it's amazing how it's been so suppressed. But again, we haven't had anything break apart yet. Things are going to be tested. And I think that we're going to see the importance of gold and silver when things begin to break. That's why we own them. I don't own them going, oh, I'm going to double my money next year or in 6 months or 3 years from now. I own them because when things break, it's the only thing worth anything. It is insurance. And so it is wealth preservation. So we don't know yet where metals will go. We know they're going to go way up. How far up, we don't know. But if Bitcoin can go to 70,000 backed by nothing, what can gold and silver do when things break? That is the question we all have to ask ourselves. Is a stock going to save you? A piece of paper? A promissory note? Probably not. It's going to be worthless. You might be, lighting it and starting a fire with it. That's about it. But you're going to need gold and silver to buy things. You want to buy a house, you want to buy land, you want to buy real estate, you want to buy real things, you're probably going to need the money of kings, and that's going to be gold and silver. And right now, no matter where premiums are, to me, it's still extremely cheap. When things break, we'll find out how cheap they are.
Well, look, I mean, if you get a lot of people out there now doing YouTube stuff saying that the the COMEX and some of the, you know, the vaults are being drained to physical metal. You know, who knows if that's true, but if it is, and that does happen, it will go to a point where you just can't get it.
That's it. Just like food.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like gear.
Well, food is tangible, physical, and it's something you need. So
if you don't have it, you die. This horn is driving me nuts right now, so I think we'll cut it. That's it. Have a great day. Make sure you're getting out and you're buying the stuff that you need right now. God bless you all. Matt, thanks a lot.